Here's the microphone. Let me just... Public enemy number 1. Dr. Evil himself. I should put that. I should put like Dr. Evil like across here or something like that. Anyway, Tucker Carlson talking about his plans to interview Vladimir Putin. See, these are the type of things that Tucker Carlson wanted to do. But he wasn't intercepted by Fox. He was intercepted by the U.S. government themselves. He explains the whole story in this next clip. But you know what I have to show you first. I got to show you the merch. I got to show you. It's not, you know what? I don't even call it merch because I've always wanted to start a clothing line. This is the clothing line, right? Sold not for sale. Anti-WEF. Get your shirts, get your hoodies, get your t-shirts, get a mug. Helps us fight demonetization, helps us fight all of these YouTube, whoever is behind the screens at YouTube, just limiting video here and there for no apparent reason. And it's much appreciated. My wife absolutely glows with happiness every time somebody buys something. She's like, I'm so proud of you. It's a great sight to see. But let's get into the clip right now.
To go see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was planning on it, and I got stopped by the U.S. government from doing it. And I was...
Well, you were going to go?
Of course.
And then what were you going to do?
Interview Putin. Why wouldn't I?
You had it set up?
I was working on it, and they broke into my text messages. The NSA broke into my Signal account, which I didn't know they could do.
Oh, so Signal's not even safe.
Oh, God,
Signal is
you're not safe anywhere,
it's not
huh?
safe.
Oh,
Signal is
fuck.
not safe.
I know people think WhatsApp's safe.
No.
It's like, man.
WhatsApp?
No.
WhatsApp is not. You know what's safe? And ask any mafia don. Park your car in front of the liquor store, leave your phone in the vehicle, in your Caprice Classic, and walk out behind the liquor store in the vacant lot back there with the winos to talk to the person you want to talk to.
How many times have you done that?
0.
Okay.
Because I'm like lazy. I'm like, "Arr!" And I always say to myself, I'm not hiding anything. I don't have a secret life. I'm pretty upfront, and some people like it and some people don't, of course. But I'm not hiding anything. But I was definitely hiding my plan to go interview Putin just because it's an interview.
So how did that happen?
Business.
How do you know the NSA broke into your Signal?
Because they admitted it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you tell us about that? Like, how did you find out?
I got a call from somebody in Washington who would know, just trust me, so I went up there for another reason, but this person said, are you going to come to Washington anytime soon? This was a year and a half ago. And I was like, yeah, actually, I'm going to be up in a week. Meet me Sunday morning. So weird. Like, who does that? Just text me. You know what I mean? Just text me. No. So I go, and this person's like, and this is someone who would know. Are you planning a trip to go see Putin? This was the summer before the war started. And I was like, how would you know that? I haven't told anybody. I mean, anybody. Not my brother, not my wife, nobody. And just because, it's one of a million things you're working on. But that was one of them. I want to go interview. Why wouldn't I want to interview Putin?
Of course.
I want to interview Xi. I want to interview everybody, right? Yeah. That's kind of my job.
We want to get Kim Jong-un on here one day.
Of course. We met him.
You did?
Yep.
Oh, we got to talk about that after. But continue
super
with this.
Interesting. But anyway.
Holy shit.
How would you know that? Because NSA pulled your text with this other person you were texting. How did you know that? And so I was intimidated. I'm embarrassed to admit, but I was completely freaked out by it. I called a U.S. senator who I know, not that well, but it seems like a trustworthy person. And I told him the story. I said, I just want to tell you this. And then I went on TV on Monday and I'm like, this happened.
Now, the one thing that I want to bring up as we're listening to this whole thing, NSA broke into his Signal. Now, here's the thing. Here's the question to ask behind all that. How long were they watching him? Because they didn't just break into it on a whim. Let's see what Tucker's doing. They had to be watching him for a while. Watching his messaging. Listening, more than likely, listening to phone calls. Right? And it really makes you think, how many other journalists do they do this to? How many? Is it all of them? Is it all the journalists? Is it everyone at Fox? Is it everyone at CNN? Is it Matt Taibbi? Is it Michael Schellenberger? Is it me? How deep does it go? How many people are they listening to constantly, seeing what they're doing? And also, why would they stop the interview from happening? See, that's the part he doesn't fully get into, but why would they stop it? Why would they designate, well, we want journalists to bring truth, because, of course, the government wants journalists to bring truth, but not this truth. We don't want that. That we're cutting off. But anything else you want to talk about is fine. It's like, well, what is it? Is it the problem that Tucker would actually go there and talk to Putin? Or is it really the problem that Putin would actually say a bunch of things to Tucker that in turn would get to the American people? Maybe that's the problem. Really makes you think. Now, I don't know Putin at all. At all. I just know he's KGB. I know he kind of seems like he kind of runs his country like a dictatorship. I don't know much past that, in that he's pretty good at judo, pretty good at jiu-jitsu. He could probably beat the hell out of a couple of people that you know and I know, probably beat the hell out of me. And that he was KGB at one point. I don't know much else than that, you know? But what is it that he was going to say, or what is it that Putin could say that the American people could hear and wouldn't be like, that's a crazy psychopath dictator? Because if he is a crazy psychopath dictator, then you want to hear everything he has to say. Let him talk. Let him talk. All it's going to do is infuriate the American populace. That's all it's going to do. All it's going to do is make us feel like we got to send Ukraine more money because they got a monster that they're trying to fight. That's all it's going to do, right? Or maybe not. Maybe that's why they stopped it. Those are the questions that I ask, because it's like, NSA getting into phones and everything, well, we know about that. They do that. They've been doing that on a large scale for a long time. Emails, pictures, everything. We found out about that and we did nothing about it. Didn't rush the doors like maybe we should have. I don't know. But what is it that Putin was going to say that the American government felt like, nah, you're not doing that? And now, because Tucker was with Fox at that time, he had to actually simmer down and say, okay, I won't do it. But what happens when Tucker doesn't have anybody behind him? Or anybody who's shackling him? Maybe he'll go over there and interview Putin. Maybe he'll talk to Kim Jong-un. Maybe he'll do all sorts of interviews that, the American people really do need to hear. Maybe the problem is that Tucker tends to find a different angle of people in situations that nobody's talking about. And maybe they're afraid of what that'll do to the thought processes of the American people. I don't know. Let's see the rest of this clip. It's very short.
And so they had, in Congress asked NSA, and NSA is like, yes, we did this, but for good reason. What would be a good reason to read my, what? But the head of NSA, it's fine. It gets, because everyone's in on it. Republicans and Democrats are all in on it. And by it, I mean the assumption there's no privacy whatsoever, that they have a right to know everything you're saying and thinking.
That shit's scary.
And that's
bro.
just not a right as far as I'm concerned. You have by the way, if you have no privacy, you have no freedom. Freedom is predicated on privacy. It's like none of your business.
You don't even think about that. Like they can just go through your phone and find everything.
They did it to me, so I know that for a fact. But again, if you have no privacy, you have no freedom.
Yeah.
How about this? It's none of your business. If that's not a good enough answer, then you're a slave.
Has that changed the way you communicate now?
Not really, because I've got I feel like I have too much to do, and I'm communicating with all these people, and I'm not like committing any crimes. Like an idiot, I pay all my taxes and I do all this stupid things. I have a driver's license and like all the dumb little things you have to do as an American citizen, all of which are just like obedience challenges. They really are like, jump through the hoop, doggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. But I do them all because I'm afraid not to. So I'm like, law abiding, though in my heart I'm not. I can tell you that.
That's so crazy.
But I do obey the law. So I'm like, whatever. But now I can't go to Russia. Anyway, this is a long sidebar that detracts from my admiration of you guys for doing that. That's ballsy. Were you worried about getting grabbed by the State Department when you came back?
No, not really. I was more worried about just going in there. But when we got through the customs, I knew we were going to be good because we were with kind of like Russian royalty, like Khabib and those guys were like, they're like pretty plugged up there.
When he says plugged up there, Khabib, this UFC fighter, he's been congratulated personally by Putin. I think every time he wins or every time he defended his title. He's retired now, but when he was fighting, he would have talks with Putin all the time. because Putin like admired him. He was going to America and, you know, smashing all of the Americans, like no problem. So he was like Russian pride type of thing. But yeah, you really do have to give it up to these guys. I know I have his face there in a little compromising position, but these guys, like, this is not, I know he's just a young Canadian guy, but I mean, Buddy's worth like $250 million. He himself could offer Tucker a pretty crazy contract right now. But yeah, why cut off that interview? You know, you allow Putin to have his fighters come over to America and fight and win and defend the belt and keep the belt and have the admiration of millions and millions of Americans. Why not have Putin in an interview? And again, back to the question, how many journalists and for how long and to what extent are they listening to what we're doing? Just checking in, you know? Again, I've said it before. If the Twitter files, if what went on with the Twitter files went on with every single company, it would blow our minds. You're sitting there like, nah, I know what's going on. Nah, it'd blow your mind. It'd blow your mind straight out of the water. To the extent that they could do that. They intercepted him before he could do it, which means that they knew what his movements were on the road to interviewing Putin. They knew what his movements were. They knew that he hadn't quite set it up yet. They knew he was about to. They knew about the conversations, which means that they were listening to multiple conversations that Tucker was having. They were breaking into a high security application signal. They were deciphering encrypted messages. This is nuts. Tucker is definitely on some kind of CIA, FBI list. They definitely have a file on him for sure. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that clip. It's wild what's going on in the world today. And hopefully, when Tucker comes back fully independent, I hope he can go and interview Putin like he's always planned. Other than that, I'm out.